We are coming to you from beautiful Target Field in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where this afternoon WGN Sports presents White Sox baseball. It's Jose Abreu, Avi Garcia, Melky Cabrera, and the Sox as they get set to butt heads with Paul Molitor's Minnesota Twins. Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Ken Harrelson with Steve Stone as we get set to bring you the finale of this three-game set. As you know or may not know, they won the first two. They scored 3 in the 8th inning in the opener to come back and win that ball game 8-6. And last night, Tommy Cy Malone ran his record against us to 4-0, ERA of about 1.5. As we only got 3 hits, we got shut out 3-0. But one thing about it, Stevie, is the fact that it is what it is, our record at this ballpark this year.
This has been a very difficult place to win for our Sox, and nothing seems to have gone right. When you look at the numbers, you'll see just exactly why. Yes, it's 1-8, and the reason is, look at the difference in batting average. Look at the difference in runs. 40 more runs scored by the Twins. As far as home runs, they hit the ball out of the park. We don't. The earned run average is astonishing for our Sox. Excellent for Minnesota. And as far as errors are concerned, well, we've made 14 to their 7. It all adds up to winning just one game here. But last night, there was a couple positives. One of them was Frankie Montas, who came on through a scoreless inning, got the fastball up to 99 miles an hour. He threw a pretty good curveball. He went 1-2-3, and it was pretty impressive in his major league debut. All things considered, last night wasn't the best of nights, but there was a couple of positives.
Well, today Robin is going to send a guy who has really responsible for the only win we have here.
And the problem with Jeff is that there was an August, and Jeff Samardzija had a terrible August, looking to make amends for it. But the last time he saw these Twins here, 7 innings, 8 hits, just 2 earned runs, and he's 2-0 this season against the Twins. Considering our record against them, that's pretty good. Kyle Gibson, his mound opponent, has been very good this year, and against our Sox, he's 2-0 with ERA .56. So here's a guy that's not overpowering, but he does have very good stuff. He's got a good straight change, and he uses it very well. And so Gibson is trying to sweep this series for the Twins, and our Sox trying to salvage a game.
All right, sit back, relax, and strap it down. White Sox baseball coming your way.
Just a few minutes away from the first pitch between the White Sox and the Twins. Earlier this morning, skipper Robin Ventura met with the media and was asked about the dominance of the Twins versus our Sox.
I think for them, really looking at them as they extend innings. When they get guys in scoring position, they seem to be able to get that extra hit, 2-out hits. The runners in scoring position thing's been a big one for them, especially against us. I haven't watched too many other games outside of it, but when they play us, when they get guys on, it seems like that line keeps moving for, 1 or 2 more hits that we can't seem to just get that one to get that momentum going, and they move the line, and whether it's at the top of the lineup or down at the end, Esky's been a pain in the rear to us. And it's not just us, but I mean he's done it to where he's been able to do that. But I think that's a big one.
And take a look at what the Twins have done lately in their pursuit of a wild card. The last 12 games, they're 10-2. They've averaged just under 6 runs per game, 44 extra base hits with an ERA of 3.19. From the bullpen, they've gotten 6 wins, 7 saves, and an ERA of 2.18. They find themselves coming into action today, 1 game in back of the Rangers for the second wild card spot. So opposed by Jeff Samardzija today. Stay with us because Hawk and I will have the call of today's game right after a break.
Original Light Pilsner. Cheers. It's Miller time. By Honda. Great deals are happening at the Honda Summer Clearance event. Now it's your Honda dealer. Subway. Make a smart play for savory subs this season. Score more flavor at Subway restaurants. Subway, eat fresh. Ford. America's best-selling brand, inviting you to go further in our fuel-efficient vehicles. Check out our entire lineup at your Ford store or at your local FordStores.com. And by your Chicago and Northwest Indiana Hyundai dealers who invite you to test drive our award-winning lineup today. Visit buyhyundai.com.
Chicago White Sox baseball in high definition is brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Welcome back to Target Field. It's a beautiful day for baseball, and let's take a look at how Robin's going to line up our Sox for the game this early afternoon. Adam Eaton leading it off like center field, and it's Jose Abreu, Melky Cabrera, Abasilio Garcia, who's torched the Twins this year. Adam LaRoche is a DH, Alexi Ramirez, Giovanni Soto, Carlos Sanchez, and Tyler Saladino rounded out. The defense and how they'll line up behind 6'6", 220-pound Kyle Gibson. Shane Robinson in left, and it's Byron Buxton and Eddie Rosario in the outfield. Trevor Plouffe, Eduardo Escobar, Brian Dozier, Kenneth Vargas at first base, Chris Herman behind the plate, and Kyle Gibson on the hill. He's 9-9 this year. This is his 27th start. His ERA 3.82. Opponent's hitting .257, which is a pretty decent number. He's given up 16 home runs and has a 2-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. He's got a good straight change. That's probably his best pitch. The umpires for the game this afternoon: Dan Iasonia behind the plate, Dale Scott at first, C.B. Buckner at second, and Lance Barrett is at third. So they've thrown the ball around the infield, and that means that Adam Eaton is ready to lead it off. I'm ready to throw it to my play-by-play partner, Ken Harrelson.
Hi, Steve. Thank you. And once again, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to White Sox baseball. And before we show you our picks to click, you at home select yours, as here is the first pitch, and it's taken up high. Adam comes in hitting at .269, 10 homers, 37 driven in. He is 4 for 6 in this series. Now make it 5 for 7. A good way to start. It's a good day to win a ball game.
And Adam gets a fastball. It's pretty much down the middle, and he takes it right back up the middle.
So here's Abreu. 77 degrees at the time of that first pitch. Abreu 2 for 9 in the series, 1 for 9 lifetime off Gibson, and that one hit was a home run.
Gibson has a little slider that was it. The straight change, probably his best pitch. When he throws his fastball, especially the two-seamer, he's going to try to bury it inside to the right-hand hitters.
Outfield for the most part straight up, spread out. Sox come in hitting at .250 as a team with a 3.97 ERA. Another quick move.
Gibson attended the University of Missouri. He had an illustrious college career.
Well, he's done nothing against us to disprove that.
No, he's been a pretty good pitcher.
0-2 the count to Abreu.
That's what he's done career-wise. 3-0 in 4 starts, an ERA of .220. What the Twins have appreciated about him is that he's one of their few starting pitchers that stayed healthy.
Fouls that one off himself. Minnesota the last few years has had a very bad string of injuries to their pitching.
Pretty much hard to figure out, as now Jose is going to be looked at by Herm Schneider. He's still hobbling around, pointing to both of his feet. That's the rare foul ball that gets you twice.
Says he's okay. Adam 13 for 18 in stolen bases. And that almost got him. Here at Target Field, 339 down the left field line, 328 down the right field line, 365 in right center, 377 in left center, and 411 just to the left of straightaway center. Gibson There's a fake, and that ball hit into the gap, and nobody's going to get that one. Adams going to turn it on. He's going to be now held, as that's a ground rule double, and it cost us a run so far. So the 29th double for Abreu.
Jose hits this one awfully hard, and he loves the ball down. Doesn't matter if it's in the strike zone or out of the strike zone. He puts a charge into it. If it hit on the grass, it probably stays in the ballpark and Adams scores. It didn't. It hit on the track, and one hopped into the pen.
So here's Melky. Melky 0 for 11 against Gibson. Avi on deck. And they'll make it 0 for 12. So right now, let's check out our picks to click today. Manjo, our director and crew, along with Mike Leary and Dave Ross, they're going to go with Alexei. Steve's going with Adam Eaton. Mike Mazza and his crew, Tommy Sheridan, all those guys. We're going to go with Adam LaRoche. Here's Avi. Avi comes in at 265, 12 homers, 51 knocked in. He is 2 for 4 lifetime off Gibson. Time is called.
Infield back once again. They're going to concede the run on a ground ball. Although Plouffe a couple of steps in back of the bag at third.
Looks like Gibson's trying to slow play our hitters. He was all over it, just underneath it.
Remember, first pitch straight change. Unfortunately fouled it straight back.
That was a cookie.
Yeah, he made a mistake with that. Herman wanted it away. Gibson got it inside.
That evens count at 1. We have played these guys 15 times this year, and of the 15 games, we've won 4 of them. Played them 9 times here, and we've won 1 of them. Now, obviously in the hole 1 and 2.
If Gibson had his druthers, he would stay inside consistently. Look at the late movement on this one, as it just starts inside and keeps on going further inside.
Broken bat. Only play is going to be to first base. So they get him. 1 scores. And Abreu into third.
Our man number 52, as he goes back in there again. That's his comfort zone. Even though Herman wants it away, he throws it in, breaks the bat. And Plouffe, who's had a very fine defensive series at third, makes another good play.
So here is Adam LaRoche at 215, 12 homers, 43 knocked in, 2 for 4 in the series. Takes ball 1. They got a shift on for him.
Last 10 games, Adam has started to hit the baseball, hitting .303 with a couple of home runs, 4 doubles, 6 driven in, and 7 scored.
Could not check it up. Now he's in the hole 1-2.
Dan Iasonia said he went too far, and indeed he did, so didn't even need the appeal, as he just points to him and rings him up. That looked like it hit off his foot.
He's
now Dan Iasonia
limping just a bit.
He said he swung.
And he said he swung?
Yep. That's what the appeal to Lance Barrett, that's what he said, so he's out.
Well, we'll take another look. Yes, he did.
Yeah, he did swing.
But we score 1, and it is 1-0 Sox.
And Eduardo Escobar, Joe Mauer, Trevor Plouffe, who's having a pretty good year against our Sox, with Kenneth Vargas getting his first action. Eddie Rosario, Shane Robinson, Chris Herman, and Byron Buxton rounded out the defense. And how they'll line up behind Jeff Samardzija, it's Cabrera, Eden, and Garcia in the outfield, with Saladino, Ramirez, Sanchez, and Abreu in the infield. Giovanni Soto gets a nod behind the plate, and Jeff Samardzija on the hill. Jeff is looking for his 9th win.
And here's the first pitch to Dozier. Can't get it. Brian hitting at .244, but he has 26 homers, and he's knocked in 68 from that leadoff spot.
142 strikeouts, just 40 walks. That coming in 182 innings.
And he just pokes that one into center field. So here's Escobar, 4 for 6 in this series, hitting at .263, 8 homers, 42 knocked in.
That ball was out of the strike zone, but Dozier, if he gets a hittable fastball around waist high, he's going to be swinging.
Escobar has faced Jeff 7 times, has a couple of hits. Takes first pitch strike. Twins come in hitting at .249 as a team with a 4.14 ERA. Twins a good home record of 42-25. On the road they're 27-38. both teams after this game will be boarding their charters and heading on out. We're going to go down to Kansas City. Minnesota's going to go to Houston.
That's not an enviable task these days. The Houston's doing pretty well.
They're going to go to Houston, Kansas City, and then they're going to come to our place. That ball hit hard, but we got a man there. That's a hang Wolfham for Escobar. They'll bring up the DH this afternoon, Joe Mauer. Mauer 1 for 8 in the series with an RBI.
Miguel Sano is not in the lineup this afternoon, which is a piece of good news for Jeff Samardzija. Sano, the rookie, has looked terribly impressive in this series.
Mauer coming into this year, .319 career hitter.
Dozier swiped 10, been caught 4 times.
Mauer in 11 at bats against Samardzija has 3 hits. And there's the strike. 1 on, 1 out, 1 ball, 1 strike. Advantage goes to Samardzija.
That time he took a little something off. He'd been throwing anywhere from 90 to 93. That time 86 had Mauer out in front of it.
Ate him up. Pops up. Alexei now makes the catch. Nice play. 2 down.
This is a high tight fastball and nothing Mauer can do with it. Fortunately, Alexei just took over and made sure that everybody stayed away as both outfielders and Alexei were converging on the ball at the same time.
So here's the third baseman, the cleanup hitter, Trevor Plouffe at 244, 18 homers, 73 driven in. He's 2 for 8 in this series with 3 RBIs. Had a big 2-run double last night.
Plouffe came into this series on an 0 for 19. He has since broken out of it, and that 2-run double proved to be the insurance that Minnesota needed. I checked with a few of the Twins, and their closer, Glenn Perkins, has a back issue. He was not available last night as Jepson closed it down for them. And odds are overwhelming he won't be available this afternoon.
1-1 pitch. Outfield bunched a bit straight up, spaced about equidistant. And the count 3-1.
Kenneth Vargas, a very powerful switch hitter in the on deck circle. He was sent down to the minor leagues because he just expanded his strike zone and was swinging at most everything.
So here's Vargas making his first appearance in the series, hitting at .245, 5 homers, 15 driven in.
He's a switch hitter who's a much better hitter right-handed, hitting .370 as opposed to .181 as a left-hand hitter. He's got pretty much equal power from both sides of the plate, however.
Ivy deep and right. That had part of the zone, so it appears once again. Three and 0. That will load him up.
And Don Cooper coming out because his very much uncharacteristic wildness for Jeff Samardzija. He'd come in with just 40 walks in 182 innings. And a 3.5 to 1 strikeout to walk ratio. Now he's walked back-to-back hitters.
And Eddie Rosario will be the hitter.
Last 6 have not been pretty. His last win, July 28th at Boston.
We're at the bottom of the first. If you're just tuning in, we lead it 1-0. We had men at second, third, nobody out. And then we finally scratched out one. That is high. Melky. Right in front of the track, makes the catch, and that'll retire the side. So he pitches over and out of it. And we still lead it 1-0.
at 10:15 a.m. First 1,000 children's tickets purchased through this special offer are invited to an exclusive pregame children's autograph session. Visit whitesox.com/autographs for tickets and more information.
It'll be Ramirez, Soto, and Sanchez. Yes, they 1-0. Sox lead. As I mentioned, men on second, third, nobody out. We've had minimal production this year in situations like that. Man on third, less than 2 out. Man on second and third, no out. Bases loaded, no out.
It's especially frustrating early in the game when they're back giving you the run on a ground ball, and that's all you pretty much have to do. Fly ball would be nice, but a ground ball would get the job done.
Yanks that one foul. Gibson really working slow. And that's a hang with him. 1 out. They'll bring up Gio, hitting at .241, 8 homers, 20 driven in. First pitch strike. Outfield, they're straight up, spread out, about equidistant. The 0-2 pitch. Two down.
Check out the White Sox baseball blog at WGNTV.com, sponsored by Jeff Vukovich, your local nationwide insurance agent serving the area for 37 years. To join the nation, visit JeffVuk.com because Nationwide is certainly on your side.
That'll bring up Carlos Sanchez, 236, 3 homers, 25 driven in. Gap out there in left center. Watch out.
That went right off the top of the Twin dugout and into the seats, and that fan, although he spilled a French fry or two, it appears he comes away unscathed. He does have the baseball bat in his left hand. That goes flying. And that man is going to need another trip to the concession stand, but he does have a souvenir.
Carlos didn't even, just went over and got another one. That's it.
Gibson, a former first-round draft pick, the 22nd pick overall in 2009.
Watch out.
That one just missed.
2-2 with 2 down here in the top of the second.
There you look at the career numbers. He's getting a whole lot better, as most young pitchers will if they stay around.
Couple of line drives to Trevor Plouffe. Go along with a strikeout. 1-2-3 inning, and it is still 1-0 good guys. Shane Robinson, Chris Herman, Byron Buxton, lower third of their order here in the bottom of the second inning. Count evens at 1. Robinson has faced Jeff 7 times, has 3 hits.
Robinson came up through the Cardinals system. Pretty well schooled player. He runs very well. He actually makes the ideal 4th outfielder because he can play all 3 outfield positions and play them well.
And the count's 3-1. That's in the right field. That's a can of corn.
Sox fans, Saturday, September 12th is halfway to St. Patrick's Day, presented by Miller Lite. First 20,000 fans ages 21 and over will receive a White Sox Irish flat cap. Be sure to stay after the game for fireworks. Miller Lite, the original light pilsner and official beer of your Chicago White Sox. Purchase tickets today by visiting whitesox.com/SPD. Those Irish flat caps are good looking.
High in the left field. Melky's got the bead and the ball. 2 down. That'll bring up the 21-year-old center fielder, Byron Buxton. 0 for 6 in the series, hitting at 195. No homers and 2 driven in.
Just come back from his latest injury, which was a head-first slide, but before he could get to the bag, he actually rolled his thumb and tore a ligament in that thumb.
Outfield swings around to the right. Very quickly, and that'll do it. Nice comeback. 1-2-3 inning for him, and it's still 1-0. Good guy.
WGNTV.com and click on the WGN Sports Game Zone banner for the latest stats and information. The Sox Game Zone is powered by Robert Morris University, Illinois, offering over 55 athletic teams, which is more than any other university in the state. For more information on RMU, visit robertmorris.edu.
Tyler Saladino takes the one away. Tyler at .235, 3 homers, 17 driven in. Tyler 2 for 9 in the series with an RBI.
That slider from Gibson has gotten a whole lot better as the game has moved along. He didn't have it early. He's got it now. See where Herman wants it, and this one just explodes down and away with Tyler expanding his zone by a wide margin.
Chopper 2, Hopper. So here's Adam Eaton. He singled to lead off the ball game, came around to score.
Including today's game, over the last 14, Adam is hitting .353, so things have gotten a whole lot better, and as he's gotten better at the top.
That's in right field.
This team usually scores more runs if Adam gets on. Got that one off the end of the bat, didn't go very far.
Gonna bring up Abreu, had a ground rule double. That was his 29th two-bagger. Now field really spread out for him. And that evens the count at 1.
In the last at bat, right after Jose bounced one off his leg, he bounced one out of the ballpark.
One, 2-0 for us, 1-0 for them. If you're just joining us, finale of this 3-game set tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday against the Royals from Kauffman Stadium. And that evens the count at 2. Guy should be pitching for Boston or New York.
He doesn't want to rush into anything. The one thing all pitchers know, if you don't let the ball go, you can't get in any trouble.
Ball hit hard, but foul.
Well, a new report out of right here in Minneapolis is that Glenn Perkins is out indefinitely with back spasms so bad that he could barely get out of bed. So that does not bode well for their run to a playoff berth.
That's off the end of the bat. And that'll reach out of the side. Go to the bottom of the third, still 1-0 Sox. It'll be the top of the order. Dozier, Escobar, and Mauer.
There's some White Sox fans in attendance. The weather has been very nice for 3 days. Temperatures in the 70s. Not going to be like that in Kansas City. The temperature is going to be in the low 90s all 3 games.
Dozier has the only hit. He slapped a single in the center field. Boy, he's got a good top hand. Wow. Meanwhile, 1 out.
He gets on top of fastballs away, pulls the ball. Got a whole lot of power, especially for a second baseman.
Got a swing a little bit reminiscent of former Baltimore second baseman and Angel second baseman Bobby Grich. Bobby had a good top hand.
Bobby hit me with a line drive in the right thigh. It just stopped hurting when we got to Minneapolis.
Escobar lined out hard to Adam Eaton.
I think all pitchers remember when they get hit with line drives. Hitters will remember if they get hit and it was memorable, like in the head or a place that really hurt them. But pitchers remember just about every line drive they got hit with.
One and 2 the count.
After a very tough first inning, Jeff has settled down. He's thrown the ball in the zone. He is changing speeds. Let's see if he changes eye levels, because this whole at bat has been up in the zone.
Ball hit hard but foul.
You might have seen Gio Soto as he was about to deliver the ball. He was just pointing. He wanted that ball in the dirt. Jeff couldn't get it there. And after spending the entire at bat up, look at Gio. He wants it in the dirt. Not quite there, but he's making some progress.
That just goes to show you right there that Maple, that ball was a line shot into the thing. He broke his bat.
Only 35 pitches, the overwhelming majority of them in that first inning.
Broken bat again, and he's got to get over there. Maybe a base hit.
There was no chance at all. I mean, that was a good effort by Jose, who was trying to get as creative as he could on a backhand flip, but as fast as Escobar is, he was able to beat this play because the broken bat just took all the velocity off the ball.
Well, that's just a Kansas City special right there.
Yeah, nothing you can do with that. He hits it into the Bermuda Triangle, and then Jose tries to flip it. It goes straight up in the air.
Here's Mauer. Mauer hit a pop up into short left field that Alexei had a long way to go. Got there, made a nice catch. So Escobar, not a real big base stealer at all, even though he has good speed. 2 for 5 in that category.
There's a lot of people who don't understand this game particularly well that believe that just because you can run fast, you should be able to steal bases. But it gets down to technique, and if you don't have that technique, if you can't accelerate with that first step, most likely you're not going to be able to steal them.
Well, you can teach technique, you can't teach speed. Been a lot of guys who did not have good speed but had a terrific technique and stole a lot of bases. And on the other side of that page, the same thing as far as having good speed and couldn't steal a base.
Eduardo just 6 for 12 his entire career, so he's a 500 base stealer, which prompts your manager to not send him all that often.
Well, he's not going to give him green light.
No.
Mauer's got the catbird seat. And that one just on the outside corner.
If that last one was a 1-2 count, an 0-2 count, that's a ball that Bauer slaps through the left side. But 2-0, very much a pitcher's pitch.
That one a little high. Had the top part of the zone, though.
You see where the 4 appeared? He didn't call that one earlier and didn't give it to Jeff that time.
There he goes. And there's ball 4. Third walk issued by Smartgen. That'll bring up Plouffe, who drew the first walk issued by Jeff back in the first inning.
Jeff occasionally gets under his fastball these days, and I'm not sure if it's fatigue or what it is, but he just got under that one. When you get under the ball, it's going to stay up. When your left shoulder flies out, which is what Jeff has as a lead shoulder, being a right-hand pitcher, you're going to throw one up and in to a right-hand hitter, up and away to a lefty. You got to stay closed.
And that pitch inside. One out, 2 on.
It was a little cutter that was right down the middle, but that late movement forced Plouffe to foul it off instead of square it up.
Forced him to reroute his swing just a little bit.
That usually doesn't work very well. The run expectancy with first and second and only one out for the Twins. They score at least one run 38% of the time. Sox pitchers give up at least one 31% of the time. And that's well below the league average of 39% of the time. A team will give up at least one run.
Here's the 1-2 pitch.
Right there.
Plouffe doing a good job just to fight a close pitch off.
That was a pretty good wipeout pitch, and normally that would wipe a hitter out. With runners in scoring position, this year Trevor Plouffe has been good. 318.
He gone. 2 down. First strikeout for Jeff.
Throws this one high and away. Gets a little something on it. And Plouffe swings through it. He's a little surprised, however, as he drifts across the plate as Gio's going to second base with the throw.
Vargas.
What happened with Vargas was what happens with a lot of young hitters. As soon as he started to hit the baseball, then they started throwing him a lot of slow stuff. When he saw slow stuff continually for about 3 weeks, he lost the ability to pick up and hit the fastball.
There's a good pitch. Whole ball had the thing, and he calls it a ball. That's bad.
This is actually a perfect pitch. You see the two light up.
How can you miss that pitch? We've seen a lot of them miss this road trip already, and the last road trip we were on.
Well, I think he had a pretty good idea that the last one he kind of eluded him, because this one was up higher and he called it a strike.
Flip a coin.
Pitch number 24 this inning on the way.
And the count evens at 2. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, 2 on. So Escobar at second, Mauer at first. And the payoff pitch. Nope. Long set. There they go. And that is yanked foul.
Gio sprints out to the mound, so he had something very urgent to tell Jeff Samardzija.
And once again, the 3-2. That will load him up.
That's 4 walks for Jeff, who just has not had command of the zone at all. And he wants his fastball on the inside part of the plate and down, and almost hits Vargas in the knee.
All started with a Kansas City special, a broken bat infield single.
And here comes Don Cooper once again, who will make one of the many trips to the mound during the course of a full baseball season. White Sox fans use the Force to make the jump to light speed and head out to the ballpark for Star Wars Day on Sunday, September 13th, presented by Kohl's. Come dressed in your best Star Wars attire and march in a pregame parade around the field. Also, the first 1,200 fans to purchase will receive an Adam Wan Kenobi bobblehead. For specially priced tickets, visit whitesox.com/Star Wars.
So here is Eddie Rosario. He came to the plate with the bases loaded in the first inning. Hit the first pitch high into left field for an easy out. There's the strike, and he didn't get it.
It's a 4-1 Minnesota lead.
Ninth home run for Rosario. He's now driven in 37. The walks got him in trouble. And Rosario just unloaded into the upper deck in right field. Our Mazda replay. And this is a bomb. That's a 24th home run Jeff has given up.
Well, Iasonia's making some margin for the most part. Throw it right down the middle of the plate to get a strike. There's quite a bit of difference in being in that situation. 0-1 or 1-0.
There is that.
Robinson fouls it back, and the count 1-2. Yeah, you've been out there when you've had somebody behind the plate that you knew you had to throw it right down the middle.
You were hoping for contact then. You just wanted him to swing and make contact and let your fielders try to help you.
Look at the play. Look at that. Pulls him off the bag. A nice play though by Tyler.
We won't take anything for granted on the official scoring, but that should be a base hit because this is an outstanding effort. He throws it, unfortunately, just off the bag, and it drops out of Abreu's glove. We'll have to see how it's scored. Still have not ruled.
So here's Chris Herman.
E3.
All started with a broken bat infield single. Oh, and 2 the count. He gone. There's the margin. Just looked in at home plate. Meanwhile, it's 4-1 Minnesota.
Your chance to win a trip to New York to see the White Sox battle the Yankees, throw out a first pitch at a White Sox game, and get great offers from Famous Dave's and discount White Sox tickets. Head to your local Famous Dave's today for your chance to be a winner.
We had some Famous Dave's after the game last night in the clubhouse. Delicious.
Pulled pork?
Beautiful.
Good, huh?
Oh, it was beautiful. Ribs, but the pulled pork was the best. Cabrera popped up to short his first trip. Milwaukee just does not pick up the ball off this big right-hander. He is 0 for 12.
He's going to have another opportunity as that one drifts out.
And hangs at 1 and 2. 4-3-0 for them, 1-2 and 1 for us. And he just pokes at that one.
That ball was way off the plate as Melky in swing mode just trying to protect.
Well, they really don't know what they're going to be getting back there from the umpire.
No, that's true.
Shane Robinson now 0 for 13. Here's Avi.
And Gibson has settled down, retiring the last 10.
Just joining us, the only 2 base runners we've had were the first 2 hitters he faced. Eaton, who singled, and Abreu, who doubled.
That first inning had a chance to be a very big inning with 2nd and 3rd and nobody out. Only to push across 1.
To another count. As I mentioned, after the game, we'll board our charter going over to Kansas City. Tomorrow night, Johnny Danks against Chris Medlin. On Saturday, Quintana against Danny Duffy. And on Sunday, Eric Johnson against Johnny Cueto. Tomorrow's game will be over Comcast Sportsnet.
Kansas City leads the Central by 12 games. Minnesota, winners of 8 of their last 10, only to see Kansas City win 7 of their last 10. And Cleveland wins 7 of their last 10.
That ball hit hard. That's a nice catch.
Well, Buxton has makeup speed. And that time he didn't appear to be going after it quite as quickly as he was, but this is a rocket. And he breaks in a couple steps, but just good enough speed to go back and make the catch.
So here's Adam. He struck out. Gap out there in left center. And they got the shift on. That's high in the short left. And that's going to fall for a base hit.
Robinson didn't get much of a break on this ball, and with the extreme shift, this one drops in. No chance at all for Escobar. He just couldn't get there in time, nor could Robinson, so the inning stays alive.
And here's Alexei, who lined out to Trevor Plouffe at third base.
Dozier was yelling over at Escobar, "You should have had that," and Escobar was just waving him off.
That pitch called a strike, so the count 0-1. Ball gets away, so it'll be a wild pitch as Adam. That's the 7th. Check that, 6th wild pitch for Gibson. Herman, pick him up, Alexei.
Herman tries to go out to his right, but can't knock it down.
He spins the other way, he gets drilled.
And that came awfully close. That one just missed him as he spun in toward the catcher.
Outfield straight up, spread out, about equidistant. Watch out, Joe.
Joe McEwing almost got drilled. Joe's probably going to move a little closer to the Sox dugout, as this one he has to go up and over.
Blocked by Herman. And that's a base hit back through the middle. Come on, don't have to look at it. 2 outs. It's 4-2 ball game.
RBI number 49 as he takes it right back through the middle. It's a low fastball. Escobar was playing him a couple of steps to pull. Has no chance for this.
And here's Gio. He struck out his first trip. Hit him on the fist. And that'll do it. But we do pick up one. And it's a 4-2 Minnesota lead.
Park. That's the official U.S. Cellular Field Ballpark app for iPhone and Android smartphones. Visit whitesox.com/ballpark app to learn more.
It'll be Buxton, then back to the top of the order with Dozier and Escobar here in the bottom of the 4th inning. 4-2 Minnesota on top.
That one hits off Dan Iasonia's mask. No, got him off the right shoulder.
High pop up. Gio. 1 out. Buxton now 0 for 2. A grounder to short and that pop up. So here's Dozier. Dozier singled to lead off the bottom of the 1st. Then in the 3rd inning, last inning, he grounded out to short.
Dozier just having a great year. He's 2nd in the AL in runs scored, 2nd in extra base hits, and 5th in doubles.
Two and 1 the count. Got in on the fist with that one. Yanks it foul, and it's 2 and 2.
Young man got a souvenir and very excited about it.
Here you go. 2 down.
Dozier looking for that fastball. You see where the 5 appears. It's out of the strike zone, away, and Jeff throws it by him.
Watch out. Escobar lined hard to Adam Eaton in center field in the 1st inning. Then he started off that 4-run 3rd with that 1 out broken bat infield single. High pop up. And that'll retire the side. We're into the 5th. We trail it by 2.
the day after the Sox score 5 or more runs. You get 50% off your entire online order at papajohns.com with the promo code SOX5. That's at all participating Papa John's locations. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
Carlos Sanchez will start it off for us. He's 0 for 1. He lined out hard to Plouffe at third base. Takes first pitch strike. Gap out there in left center if he can find it.
You know, I talked to Paul Molitor about their team in spring training. He said he knew that they would be much better because of the leadership, because of their acquisition of Torrey Hunter. In your estimation, is that kind of guy easy to trade for, or does he have to raise up from the ranks of the guys you already have?
Both. And the third option, hard to trade for. Because nobody wants to give him up. Torrey Hunter, when you get a guy that's 150 games over 500 in his career,
and has won wherever he's gone,
those guys are few and far between. I mean, few and far between. You don't have many Torrey Hunters. You don't have many Derek Jeters. You don't have many Cal Ripken Juniors. You don't have many George Bretts.
No, and the three guys you mentioned, along with Torrey Hunter, they stayed with the same teams because they were superstars. They never wanted to give them up.
Nope. Torrey is a unique and wonderful asset wherever he's been. And to me, he's a Hall of Famer. You know, he's a guy that Lawrence Taylor, when he first came into the NFL, linebacker, he redefined linebacking play in the NFL. Torrey Hunter, when he first came in, he started redefining the way center field was played, because prior to Torrey, you had a lot of guys as that's into center field. Buxton. You had a lot of guys who really didn't want to get mixed up with that fence out there. And one of the reasons we're seeing so many great catches today, guys are not afraid of the fences anymore. And Torrey is one of the big reasons for that. They got used to seeing him on the highlight reel going up and bringing balls back into the park.
Yeah,
that's when you're seeing Mike Trout going up now and bringing balls back into the park. You're seeing a lot of guys going up now bringing balls back into the park.
Well, the great catches the other night was Tampa Bay's Kevin Kiermaier, who went up, brought a ball back in the park. But you see it a lot because now they're constructing lower fences too. They're anticipating those plays and encouraging the outfielders to go get them.
Well, Torrey's a 9-time Gold Glove winner, and as I said, he more or less redefined the way center field is played in today's game. You see a lot of guys hitting the wall today. You go back 30 years, you didn't see a whole bunch of guys hitting the wall. And even before that, when I first broke in back in the 50s. There's a high pop-up off the bat of Saladino.
And most likely Plouffe is telling Gibson, go away. I got this one. It's not your play.
2 out. Torrey, that 9-time Gold Glove winner, and only 6 outfielders in the history of this game had more than that. Here's Adam. He's 1 for 2. Okay. Clemente, Mays,
Griffey. Did Griffey win?
Andrew Jones, and K-Line, and Suzuki. That's some pretty good company.
I would say so.
0-2. One-two pitch. Yeah, but when you get a leader like that, that makes it so much easier on the manager, coaching staff. Takes care of a lot of ills.
Well, it sure helps if you can raise your own that's been in your system from the beginning and comes up through your system, and then becomes a leader. And he's a leader because of performance and because of desire and everything that goes with his day-to-day play.
Well, you'll very seldom see a leader that's not a terrific player. There are occasions when you will have some leadership from some guys who aren't terrific players, but that's the exception rather than the rule. That's up high.
Also, as great as a pitcher can be, and obviously there's a lot of Hall of Famers that inhabited that Atlanta Braves team. The leader of that team was Chipper Jones because he was an everyday player.
He knew it. Good pitch. And we're halfway home. We trail it 4-2. Joe Mauer will lead off their half of the fifth inning. They lead it 4-2. Grand slam homer by Eddie Rosario in the upper deck in right center field. First pitch hunting, and one pitch, one out.
Sox fans, show your team pride with White Sox checking and an official White Sox debit card. Only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/White Sox to learn more. Wintrust Bank, member FDIC.
Here's Plouffe for a walk and a strikeout. Takes a strike. 0-2 the count. Just off the plate, and I want to send out a big White Sox hello and congratulations to Dave Sutton and Tom Gustafson, who were the winners of the White Sox Bags tournament last Saturday. Nice going, guys. Dave Sutton and Tom Gustafson. One, two. High pop up right side. Come back. It won't. And I got a text after the ball game last night saying, why am I using the term Kansas City special on little duck snorts and broken bat singles? Was I demeaning the Royals? And by no way am I demeaning that. In fact, that's a compliment. I wish we could do more of it. They don't strike out. They're going to get a lot of broken bat singles and little soft singles because they don't strike out.
It's about 200 less strikeouts than anybody else in the American League, and when you put the bat on the ball, good things happen.
That's exactly right. So Jim, who sent me that text, not demeaning, is complimenting him. As he gone. Fourth strikeout now for Jeff. 2 down. And here comes Vargas, who has been to the plate twice, walked twice, and scored once. It's just like that little Kansas City special Escobar got with 1 out in the 3rd inning to start off that 4-run third for him. Two big men, Vargas and Sano. If you missed the first 2 games, Sano homered in each one of them, and they were both very impressive.
Sano nursing a sore hamstring, and we saw it in a couple of situations. One on the base paths when he was trying to go from first to second. Another on a double play ground ball that he got thrown out by 20 feet. It's just that he felt it's more important to be in the game than it is to try to beat out a play that he probably wasn't going to beat out anyway.
And that's going to fall for a base hit.
In the first inning, Rosario came up with the bases loaded with an opportunity to do some damage, and he couldn't. Soft fly to left field. But in the 3rd inning, our 4th home run replay, also with the bases loaded, hit a grand slam into the upper deck, and that is a blast.
And again, the first pitch in that sequence was huge, and Iasonia blew it. He threw him a strike. He called it a ball, and there's a big difference between 1-0 and 0-1 in that scenario. Huge difference. Oh boy, Jose. And they'll retire the side. We're into the 6th. We need 2 to tie.
Text Subway to 97999 right now for your chance to win 6 meals from the Simple 6 menu from Subway. Message and data rates may apply. Subway, eat fresh.
6th inning. Here in the finale of this 3-game set. They won game 1 8-6 by scoring 3 runs in the bottom of the 8th. Then Tommy Malone yesterday picked up the victory, his 4th against no defeats in his career. As that ball into right center field, nobody's going to get down. So he's going to pick up another double. That's his 30th and 2nd of the game.
One double to left center, this double to right center. This is a fastball that's right down the middle. And as fast as Buxton is, he can't get to it.
Here's Melky. He's popped to short and then going out to left. As I mentioned last at bat, he's just not seeing the ball well off Gibson. Now 0 for 13 against him. He did have a pretty good swing in his first at bat. Since then, not too much.
With a man at second and nobody out, Sox hitters have driven at least 1 run 53% of the time. That is below the league average of 62%. When pitchers have given up at least 1 run 68% of the time, also above league average.
Nice catch.
Brian Dunsing loosening up. We've seen him loosen up in the series, but he has yet to appear.
I just don't know. I don't know what the numbers are, but I just don't know how there could be a team that is less proficient than we are at man on second, nobody out.
Not getting him home?
And not even getting him to the third. Much less home. And men on third, less than 2 out. Men on second, third, nobody out. Ate him up, and it's going foul. Now you have pitchers like that. You just don't pick the ball up. There's something in emotion that you just don't see the ball well.
On the other side of the coin, there are guys that you punish that nobody else can hit, and there's no rhyme or reason to which way it's going to go.
One out.
That was a straight change and a good one. So Melky does not move along the Braves.
The way he's been swinging it at Gibson, I think the last thing on his mind was
moving him along.
He was just trying to make some contact.
Trying to stay alive.
Yeah. So here's Avi. Avi 0 for 2 with an RBI and picked up his 52nd run with a ground ball back in the first inning.
Outfield shading him around toward right center.
And that one in on the fist.
Well, now he picked up his run batted in the first inning. Gibson was able to break his bat with a fastball 2 or 3 inches in off the plate. He was able to fight it off, dribble it to Plouffe, who had no angle on the throw home, so he got it to first base about a step ahead of Avi.
No throw. So Abreu. Now Avi.
Second wild pitch of the day. And 7th wild pitch of the year. He steers this one just in front of home plate. And Herman cannot corral it.
Vargas was in. Now they have moved him back. Plouffe behind halfway. Outfield slightly to the right. Huge gap out there in left center.
If
One
you're
out, 1-2 the count.
If you're on the mound in this situation, you're thinking no contact. And the way he swung at a slider the first pitch, you might be thinking about going back there again. Went with a fastball and threw it low and out of the zone.
Well, if he lets him knock that run in on a fastball, then he's made a mistake.
Yeah.
Unless he did it like he did it in the first inning. Break his bat. Throw it right underneath his hands. Yanks that one foul. That one at 93. Harmon keeps that one in front of him.
Blaine Boyer, the right-hander, listening in the pen. The Paul Molitor's got it covered, one from each side.
Buxton, he can throw. But it's way off the mark, and it's a 4-3 ball game. That boy, Avi.
He reached out of the strike zone. The wild pitch coming back to haunt him. Is that ball just deep enough? The second run batted in this afternoon for Avi, the 53rd of the year.
And here's Adam. Adam 1 for 2, a single and a run scored. Mike Mazza and his crew, Tommy Sheridan and his crew, Mike Spadali and his crew. They're picked to click. Right arm of Iasonia almost came up. Come on, Adam, tie this thing up. There's only men really men that light it. Nope. But we come up with one, and we trail it by one. The Minnesota order here in the bottom of the 6th inning in a 4-3 Twinkie lead. Breaking ball. Robinson has gone out to right and reached on an arrow. Broken bat. 1 out.
Join the 2015 Sox Pride Club for exclusive monthly ticket opportunities featuring locked-in seating locations, along with game day audio, membership gifts, and much more, all for just $29.95. Visit SoxPrideClub.com to join today.
So here's the catcher, Chris Herman, who's gone out to left, and he has struck out. Limited slate of action around the major leagues. It's the only game during the day. Later on, Detroit at Kansas City, Atlanta at Washington, Pittsburgh at Milwaukee, Colorado hosting the Giants, and the Dodgers taking on the Padres at Petco. That had the inside corner.
Casey Fiend loosening up.
Bring him on.
We touched him up a bit in the opener of the series.
Two and two. 4-4-0 for them. 3-5-1 for us. Off the end of the bat. Get over there. Almost gave him a bad feed. But 2 out.
But Jeff, with that long wingspan, was able to reach back and corral it, along with getting his footwork right where it should be.
So here's Buxton. He's grounded to short, and he's fouled out to Gio Soto. Takes first pitch strike.
A lot of fours in those 5 2/3 innings.
High. Avi. And a nice 1-2-3 inning. We're into the 7th. We trail it 4-3.
He's 4-5. His ERA 3.25 on for the 51st time. But those 14 holds, opponents hitting .248. He's only walked 4, so he's always around the plate. And Avi Garcia hit a titanic shot against Fiend. That was just the 3rd home run he's given up, but at the time it gave the Sox a 5-4 lead, only to see it tied up an inning later with Miguel Sano, who tied it at 5. Game they later won 8-6.
Ramirez, Soto, and Sanchez. Alexei has faced Fiend 17 times and has 3 hits. Has kicked over and is going to cost him a base hit. Escobar may have had a shot at that one.
Yeah, normally that's not a particularly good play because you can't very well kick it and wind up catching it yourself, and when you do kick it, it's going to carry him off, usually away from everybody. So it does go as a base hit. That's not knowing where your infielders are.
Gio has struck out and hit into a 6-4 fielder's choice.
Like say 15 out of 20 in stolen bases.
Oh, and 1 to count. Grand slam homer by Eddie Rosario in the 3rd inning. We scored 1 in the 1st, 1 in the 4th, and 1 in the 6th. They lead at 4-3.
A couple of years ago, Casey Fiend's strikeout per 9 innings was 10.6. Last year it dropped to 7.2, and this year it's dropped even lower than that. So for whatever reason, either the life or the velocity has deteriorated with usage because he's been a very durable reliever.
Alexei, decent lead. Come on, Gio, 1st and 30. Let's get this thing tied up. Sanchez on deck. Lays off of it. And it's 2 balls in the strike.
He's thrown all 3 pitches up and out of the strike zone.
And the count 3-1. And there is ball 4. So here comes Carlos. Got to get him over, Carlos. 2 on, nobody out. We trail it by 1 here in the top of the 7th.
Carlos has 5 sacrifices this year.
Plouffe in on the grass. Vargas at the cut of the grass at first. And that will get the job done. So the sacrifice 5-4. J.B. Shuck has come out to hit for Saladino. Tyler was 0 for 2, a grounder to short, and pop up to third.
Looks like they're going to play the infield in at all 4 positions, as JB is going to come on for the 27th time as a pinch hitter. He's got 6 hits and 3 driven in. It's Neil Kotz loosening in the pen.
And that pitch goes around. Did not come back. Almost did. Boy, first pitch in situations like this is huge. There, he just made a good pitcher's pitch right there. 1-1 to count. Attaboy. They'll get them both in. That's a gapper. So Alexei scores, Gio scores. He's on his way to third. He will get there, and Sox lead it 5-4. Yes.
Time now for our Xfinity Speed Replay, and it's a triple blasted into the gap in left center field. Paul Molitor is going to take Fiend out of the ball game, but not until the tying and go-ahead run scores on a 7th pinch hit. RBIs 4 and 5 in that role for J.B. Shuck. And the Speed Replay is brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports.
What a good job right there by J.B. Shuck. So Fiend departs. Neil Kotz comes on in. We'll be back.
have a record. He does have a 3.18 ERA on for the 6th time. Opponent's hitting just 190. And he's got the infield in at all 4 positions again for Adam Eaton as he tries to drive home an insurance run.
Adam went for 3, led off the ball game with a single, came around to score. So the Sox coming back from a 4-0. Not a good swing, and the count 0-1. Make that a 4-1 deficit. That is into left field. Sox tagging. He will score, and it is a 6-4 lead.
Good execution on the part of Adam Eaton, who hit it just far enough where Robinson had to move on back, and no chance at all to get J.B. Shuck.
We came back from a 4-0 lead in the first game to lead at 5-4 before they scored 3 in the 8th, and they came back and won it 8-6. So here is Abreu.
Casey Fee in the 3rd of an inning, charged with all 3 runs on a couple of hits and a walk.
Abreu 2 doubles and a run scored, and now a single. So here's Melky. Melky is glad to see Kyle Gibson gone.
Gets to turn around from the right side and maybe get a pitch to hit from Neil Kotz.
He is 1 for 7 against Kotz. He was 0 for 3 against Gibson and 0 for 14 in his career. Just got a text in the break there. Why was that pitch that you said Isaonia missed to Rosario so big when it made it 1-0 instead of 0-1? Well, I'll tell you the difference. If you're the hitter and you go to the plate and the guy has walked 2 men to load the bases and there's 2 out and he misses with the first pitch, it gives you a much better perspective on what the next pitch is going to be, usually a fastball, and that's exactly what happened. That was not a strike, but it was called one. Six, 8, and 1 for our guys. 4, 4, and 0 for their guys. Beautiful day here in Minneapolis, and a beautiful day to win a ball game. Not a bad crowd on hand for a 12-10 start. They're averaging 28,125. And there's the base hit. So Abreu, he's going to make the turn. Here's the throw. He got him.
Rosario can throw. Meanwhile, we come up with a crooked number 7th inning stretch. We lead at 6-4. Top of the order here in the bottom of the 7th. Good guys lead at 6-4. It'll be Dozier, Escobar, and Mauer to face Samardzija. Dozier 1 for 3, a first inning single. Out and around that one and yanks it foul.
Gordon has checked in at third base.
Breaking ball strike. Just got a piece of it. Big 2-run triple by J.B. Shuck. Sacrifice fly by Adam Eaton. Watch out.
That one hit off the wall, came right back between the legs of Gio Soto, went right back out to Samardzija, who elected not to use that same baseball again. He got down in a hurry, bounced straight back.
Again, using the correct technique. He did not go. 2-2. Alexei. 1 out.
The bullpen up and going as Jeff has reached 100 pitches.
Here's Eduardo. Escobar 1 for 3. Takes first pitch strike. He is lined hard to center. Had that Kansas City special, that broken bat infield single. And that started off that 4-run third with 1 out.
And here comes Robin, and it would appear that either Nate Jones, most likely Dan Jennings, will come into this. Jennings going to face Mauer. Jones is not going to sit down because Plouffe is up after him. So that's it for Jeff Samardzija, as he'll leave with the lead. Dan Jennings will come in. We'll step out and be back after these messages. TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service. College students enjoy a back-to-school offer with a 35% off discount. Authentication required. Blackouts and other restrictions apply, so visit MLB.tv today. And Dan Jennings comes into the ball game at 1-3. His ERA a little above 4.5, out for the 39th time, and he'll be looking in at Joe Mauer.
So here's Mauer. He is 0 for 4 lifetime against Dan, who faced him last night and struck him out. Mauer 0 for 2 with a walk and a run scored today. One out, one on. And first pitch strike. One ball, one strike, one out, one on. 6-9-1 for us, 4-5-0 for them. Pretty good pitch, didn't get it. Head bottom part of the zone.
There's a 3 lights up. and it had a piece of the zone.
And there's a Kansas City special, a fister. A little duck snort.
Here comes Robin, and that is going to be it for Jennings. As he throws a high, tight fastball in off the plate. Mauer doesn't get a whole lot of it, but enough to dump it in front of Adam Eaton. So 2 on, only 1 out.
Yeah, he made a good pitch. He made a good pitch on him, and when you make contact, something good can happen. So Dan departs. Nate comes on, and we'll be back.
.61 on for the 11th time. Onus just hitting .176 against him. He's got Twins at first and second. Trevor Plouffe is the man he'll face. There's only 1 out here in the 7th.
And one of the better fastball hitters on Minnesota's team. Trevor has walked and struck out twice today. Looking for it, got it at 97. And it was up just a little too high for him.
At the upper part of the strike zone. Fortunately, it wasn't about an inch lower.
That one at 98. Escobar at second, Mauer at first. Outfield bunched a bit. That slider way outside.
Trevor May, who we've seen a couple of times in this series, and Blaine Boyer. Trevor May is now their #1 setup man.
Count hangs to the ball and 2 strikes. Kenneth Vargas on deck. He gone. Foul tipped, hung on to by Gio. 2 down.
This ball is up and out of the zone. He can't lay off, and it sticks right in the webbing.
Vargas has walked twice, single once, and scored. Takes first pitch strike. That one at 97. Abreu back on the grass at first. And now he's on top, 0-2. Right underneath his hands. He gone. Nate comes on, strikes out Plouffe and Vargas, and we're into the 8th, still leading 6-4.
Medlin. Johnny Danks usually saves his best for Kansas City. There are the numbers. That's the first of a 3-game series over the weekend, and it's back home for an extended homestand. So we've got a new pitcher coming in the game for the Twins. It's Blaine Boyer. Boyer 2-4, but a fine ERA of 2.77, on for the 55th time, so he's been a busy man. And he inherits a 2-run deficit.
Garcia, LaRoche, and Ramirez.
First pitch strike. Avi today 0 for 2, but he has 2 RBIs. Got 1 in the first and 1 in the 6th. Very quickly 0 and 2.
Boyer originally drafted and signed by the Atlanta Braves. He's drafted in the 3rd round in 2000. Been with a lot of different organizations. 4 different teams for finding a home here in the bullpen of the Twins.
Two and 2 the count. Nice gap out there in left center field. And a full count. If you're just joining us, we scored in the first. Eddie Rosario hit a grand slam in the 3rd. We added 1 in the 4th, 1 in the 6th, and 3 in the 7th. Good rip. Just underneath it. That's foul back. And Souvenir. Once again, the payoff. And there's a good at bat. The leadoff walk. So that's the second walk issued by Minnesota pitching today, and it'll bring up Adam. Adam is 1 for 3, a single, a run scored back in the 4th inning. And he takes ball 1 inside. That's popped up into center field. And it's out number 1. So here's Alexei. Alexei, a couple of hits today. RBI and a run scored.
A couple of key base hits, because driving in that run in the 4th, cut the lead to 4-2, and then his leadoff single keyed the big 3-1 7th. A good day for Alexei.
25,339. There he goes. Safe. Picks up his 7th stolen base. Now pick him up, Alexei.
Boyer's got a big leg kick. He's not the quickest to home plate, and he was able to steal second base rather easily. Paul Molitor wants to check and see if he indeed was safe. Like he was safe by a wide margin.
From our angle, it did.
He might be checking to see if he came off the bag after the slide, but it didn't appear that he did that either. No, he's going to let the play stand. His hand never came off the bag.
Well, if you're a second baseman or shortstop today, you have got to keep that glove on them all the way as many times as guys go off the bag.
They don't have real good sliding techniques, and so they go in hard, and then they don't know how to hook it either with their leg or their hand, and they pop up, and the smart second baseman or shortstop will keep their glove on. More times than not, they're going to get the out.
Well, a lot of times they don't even have to go off, because what they'll do is they'll reach back and grab it, and there's at some point they don't have contact with the bag, even though they did not go past it. Two and one to count. Three and one.
Ryan Dunsing loosening in the pen.
Nice catch. And a full count. So walk number 2 for Boyer. And here's Gio. Gio had a big walk last inning. He's 0 for 2 with that walk and a run scored. Oh, Gio picks somebody up. Takes first pitch strike. That pitch low, so the count evens. Six runs, 9 hits, 1 error for us. We've left 3. 4 runs, 6 hits, no errors for them. They've left 7. Blaine having trouble throwing a strike.
Could be that he's rushing it.
Oh,
that was right down the middle.
He had a cookie and just couldn't do anything with it.
Very hittable fastball, and Gio fouls it straight back.
Got it.
He just got outguessed because that fastball was right down the middle.
Two out.
You see the lighted 5. That's where the pitch is.
And here comes Molitor. You got Sanchez. And then Beckham. So Lane Boyer departs. Dunsing comes on, and we'll be back.
Okay. 435 on for the 49th time. Opponent's hitting 245. As you can see, doesn't strike out a lot of people, doesn't walk a lot of people. And he inherits a couple of socks at first and second, and 2 outs here in the 8th.
So Trace Thompson has come out to hit. Sanchez had lined to third, going out to center, and had a beautiful sacrifice bunt. Look at this. Get over his head. Get over. No, he's going to get there. And they'll retire the side with those bottom of the 8th. It is still a 2-run lead.
Rosario, his first career Grand Slam home run, and J.B. Shuck with a pinch triple. He later scored. Abreu 3 for 4 with a couple of doubles and a run scored. Honda, great deals are happening at the Honda Summer Clearance event, now at your Honda dealer. Trace Thompson is in right field. And Leury Garcia checks in at second base.
So here's Rosario. Fly deep to left. That was the bases loaded to end the first inning. And then in the third, with the bases loaded, hit it in the upper deck out there in right center field. He also is grounded to first. Rosario, one of the few players to ever hit the first pitch he ever saw in the major leagues for a home run. Gap out there in right center. Just got a piece of that one at 97.
We've already seen the great arm of Rosario, and it was unbelievably good as he gunned down Abreu at third base. We've also seen the fact that he's got a lot of power, and he's still a very young man.
That ball hit well into right, but we got a man there. One out.
There's a look at David Robertson, who's going to come in, assuming that that lead is still intact. And the way Nate is throwing the ball, you'd believe that it would be intact.
Danny Santana. Takes first pitch strike at 96. Santana hitting at 218. You foul. It will.
That was a slider that kind of spun on the inner portion of the plate. Santana pulled it just foul. He hit this ball hard. See, this slider doesn't do a whole lot. Fortunately, Santana get out a little quickly on it.
That one in 98. He gone. 2 down.
That's 3 strikeouts for Nate as he fires this one by Santana.
So Nunez has come out to hit for Herman. Nunez hitting at 268, 4 homers, 19 knocked in. Be nice to get this guy so you don't come close to turning that lineup over. Buxton on deck. That one in 96 and the count 1-1. A lot of room between Melky and that left field line as he can't get that one, and count 1-2.
Tough slider, 89 miles an hour, diving down and away. Your best bolt is to lay off this, because if you're going after it, you're not going to make any contact. You just barely hit the top of the baseball. Dale Scott on the appeal, and he saw it correctly. Man who is going to be their new closer until Perkins comes back, Kevin Jepson. He's loosening in the pen. He came out to nail down his 10th save, his 5th with the Twins in last night's ball game.
Full count. Solid single to center.
And that's going to be it for Buxton. He's going to be called back, and we're going to see Miguel Sano. He gets a fastball up and out over the plate, takes it right back up the middle, and that sets it up for an at bat from the big man. For the first time in the 3 games, did not start this one.
And here comes Robin. There was a 3-2 slider that Nate threw to Sano. A 3-2 get me over. It went a long way in a hurry. That might have been the quickest we've seen a ball leave the park this year. And here is that home run we're talking about. 3-2.
And then last night against Rodon, he takes it 434 feet to straightaway center field. So Robbins had his say. And up will come Sano.
Sano 15 homers, 42 knocked in a very short period of time. .64", 262 pounds.
In the last 14, he's at .333, 8 home runs, 17 driven in, scored 15, and the slugging percentage is only .833.
Count evens. outside corner, a beauty. 1-2. And that one at 97. That is a major league pop-up right there. And now is caught, and that'll retire the side. We're into the ninth. We lead at 6-4.
Beats Sano. He hits it high, and Trace Thompson at the very last instant calls him off. And this is a game of redemption, and every day you get a chance to make up for something you did yesterday, and that's exactly what happened as Nate Jones gets some high fives.
Gordon Beckham fouls first pitch back. Gordon making his first plate appearance in this game.
Nunez, who came out to pinch hit and got a pinch single, takes over at shortstop. Eric Fryer, who was recently recalled, checks in behind the plate.
And there's a nice base hit for Beckham.
Danny Santana, who came on, now plays center field. And Escobar goes from shortstop to left field.
Adam checks it up and takes a strike. Adam is 1 for 3 with a sacrifice fly and a run scored. There's a good one. So the sacrifice 5-3.
Nice bunt forcing Plouffe to the only play that he had, which was to flip it to first base. So Adam Eaton lays down his 4th sacrifice bunt. And a big insurance run now in scoring position.
And they're just going to go ahead and put Abreu on.
I think they've seen enough of his 3 for 4 today. A couple of doubles, both to opposite fields, one to left center, one to right center, and a single to go with it.
He now has 30 doubles, to go along with 3 triples, 24 homers. Melky on deck.
Come on, Deuce. Come on, Deuce.
Melky's due. Got a little soft single last time up, but he's 1 for 4. He would have hit one hard. He's been hitting the ball very hard, unfortunately, right at people again. No, backdoor didn't work.
Right.
2 on, 1 out. I mentioned we'll be heading on down to Kansas City after the game, and also the Twins, well, they'll be heading on down to Houston. They got a tough road trip coming up. That's out of play right side. They got Houston for 3, Kansas City for 3, then they come to our place for 3. That breaking ball low.
Dunsing wanted a word with Fryer, so he called him out. Just a beautiful day here at the ballpark. Temperatures in the mid-70s. Wind not much of a factor at all.
Two pitch. There's a chopper. Can't turn it. 2 down.
This one hit too slowly, and Melky hustling down the line. So they get the easy one and cannot take care of it on the back end.
And here's Leury. Hitting in Avi's slot. Avi was 0 for 2 with 2 RBIs and a stolen base. Plouffe even with the bag off the line at third.
Charlotte this year, things went very well for Leury. Up close to 300. Plus he stole 30 bases.
And that changeup makes it 2-0. Well, he's a ton of talent. He can run, he can throw.
Play everywhere.
Another changeup. Three and one. Right here, Leury. Knock him in. And there's ball 4. And here comes Adam. Adam was 1 for 4 with a single and a run scored. So sacks packed with Sox.
Career with the bases loaded has been pretty good. 282 with 3 home runs.
And he takes ball 1. First time these two have faced one another. He just missed it. High in the right field. And that'll retire the side. It'll be the top of the order at the bottom of the 9th as we lead it 6-4.
nail it down. He's 6-3. His ERA .260. He's looking for save number 28, and this is 34th opportunity. Opponent's hitting just 183 with 71 strikeouts. Just 11 walks in 52 innings. Nice job by Nate Jones, who threw an inning and 2/3, fanned 3, gave up a hit and no runs. And Jeff Samardzija, the pitcher of record.
So here's Dozier. He's 1 for 4. Led off the bottom of the first with a single. Then he grounded to short, struck out, and then he grounded to short again. And that ball is ripped. Meanwhile, 0-1. He is 2 for 5 against David. High pop up right side. Bray is very good on those pop ups. Makes the catch. Big out. Always the first out. There's Escobar. He's 2 for 4 today. 6 for 10 in this series. And he takes ball 1. Escobar's faced David twice. He's 0 for 2.
Let it all go on a high fastball, but no contact.
And that's low. 2-1 the count. And that's going foul. Souvenir to even the count at 2. Joe Mauer, the on-deck hitter, with Trevor Plouffe in the hole. Just got a piece of that hook. He gone. 2 down.
Looked like he didn't see that ball at all. He just swung as an afterthought. And he goes down on strikes.
This is the man we've been waiting for since Tuesday.
For 3 days.
Mauer is 2 for 8 against David. And Mauer today is 1 for 3 with a walk and a run scored. First pitch strike. just tuning in, all 4 twin runs. A grand slam homer by Eddie Rosario in the 3rd inning. Upper tank in right center. That pitch high and outside. So the count 1-1. That evens the count up at 2. Fights that one off. Outfield bunched a bit, swung around to the left. Get over there, he will. And he stays on the bag, makes the play, and this ball game is over. So we do indeed salvage the finale of this 3-game set. They win the opener 8-6. They shut us out 3-0 yesterday. We come back from a 4-0 deficit. We win it 6-4, and we'll be back.